Hey there, welcome back. In today's video, I want to go deeper in our knowledge of the Caro-Kann. Yeah, in my previous video, I explained how to play the two knights variation against the Caro-Kann, a pretty tricky variation. If you haven't seen the video, I highly recommend you do it. This is the foundation of our repertoire against the Caro-Kann. But now I want to go deeper into some typical positions. And to do so, I want to show you a game I played last Saturday on a training session. And the game was played against Stockfish. Yeah, I played that game in Lichess against Stockfish 8. Yeah, Stockfish 8 is supposed to be 3000 elo points and it's pretty strong. But I have realized that it's not allowed to think too much, so it makes some mistakes, as you will see in the game. Okay, without further ado, let's go and see that interesting game. So e4, c6, the Caro-Kann, knight c3, d5, and the two knights variation, knight f3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, and now bishop g4. I played h3, completely normal, and after bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, we got to a better position for white, as we have the bishop pair and a better development. So the game continued with queen d7, and I occupied the center. The time control is no time control. I played at a slow pace. I played the game in an hour. So the thing is that every time you play, Stockfish answers. So this gives him no time to go deeper. And this is the opportunity. So knight gf6, knight takes f6, knight takes f6. So I played bishop c4 to stop queen d5. Yeah, even though the ending must be slightly better as well after something like c3, e6 for instance, g3, queen d5, and bishop g2, this ending must be a little bit better for white as well. But I wanted to keep the queen. Yeah, I thought my chances would be better if I keep the queen, and you'll see why. So bishop c4, e6. Yeah, the pawn on d4 is hanging, but there is a small trick. Queen b3 attacking both the pawn on b7 and the pawn on f7. So e6 is answered by queen takes b7, and okay, this is not nice for black. So instead of that, e6 was played, c3, defending the pawn, and bishop d6. Also bishop e7 is completely normal, but bishop d6 is a little bit more active. So we reach a critical position as white have some choices. Yeah, the most normal is of course short castle, but we can prepare long castle as well. If we presume that black is going to castle in the king side, bishop d2, castling in the queen side, yeah, can be an interesting idea to get some attacking chances by launching our king side pawns. So after bishop d2, that would have been pretty interesting. Perhaps a5 is normal move, or something to castle in the queen side with something like queen c7, and in case of long castle, something like that can be played as well. Okay, that was an interesting idea, but I castled short right away. And after short castle, it's time to create some threats and to improve our pieces. I thought that black was going to play e5, so I played rook e1 to stop it. It's interesting to see that bishop g5, bishop e7, and against rook ad1, completing the queenside mobilization, black would play knight d5, bishop c1, keeping the bishop pair, and bishop g5. Yeah, this is a typical idea for black. They want to trade the bishop pair, and this is a nice way to do it. I share chess-related stuff twice a week. If you're into chess, please consider subscribing, as it's the best way to support our channel and stay updated. I really appreciate it. Rook e1, rook c8. Yeah, rook c8 supports c5, so I went away from the scope of black's rook. And now h6. Yeah, this is a move that weakens a little bit the king side. I was pretty happy about that move, as black's queen is going to have a difficult time getting to any square, as bishop h6 would be there winning a pawn. So after h6 I played bishop d2. Now queen e7, pretty uncomfortable for black, as black is forced to put the queen opposed to my rook, so we're having a very nice time. And now how to complete the mobilization. Yeah, what could you do as white? I guess there are several ways to complete the mobilization, but the most natural is rook e2. That's what I played. Rook fd8 and rook a e1. Yeah, we put plenty of pressure on e6. Sometimes we can consider even the sacrifice. So black played king h8. Yeah, it is clear that after c5 we would win by playing rook takes e6. Beautiful move. F takes e6, rook takes e6, and now the bishop is ready to attack black's king. Queen f7 is answered by rook takes f6, attacking the queen with two pieces and winning the game. So rook a1, after rook a1, king h8 is pretty normal. Now our pieces are pretty well placed, and we need to find a plan. We need to find a way to increase our pressure. Things are becoming difficult as we have to commit somewhere. Now the fact that the pawn is on h6 gives white a hook, so g4, h4 and g5 can be an interesting way to play. I decided to play g3. Yeah, this is a way to go in a slower motion, but it's the same idea, to play king g2, h4, and at some moment g4. I have to tell you that g3 has got some prophylactical ideas, as c5 was going to be answered by d5. Yes, and after c4 I could have played bishop c2, not fearing knight takes d5, as queen takes d5 wins a piece. Yeah, and in this sense g3 is pretty useful, as otherwise bishop h2 would be check and rook takes d5. Yeah, instead now e takes d5, rook takes e7, bishop takes e7, and rook takes e7, and white is winning. So that was the idea of the shy g3, to stop the check and to improve the overall situation of the king side. Okay, so after bishop b8, I'm trying to improve my position, a5, h4. Yeah, I want to launch my pawns now that h1 is already available for the rook. So c5, black starts to create some counterplay, and there are several choices here, and I choose d takes c5. Yeah, I'm not sure this is the best. I think bishop e3 was a better choice. Yeah, the thing is that in case of c takes d4, bishop takes d4, and the bishop gets to be pretty strong. This is a nice idea. The other idea for white is that knight d5 trying to trade the bishop is simply answered by bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and bishop takes d5. Queen takes d5 is answered by queen takes rook, queen takes d5, e d5, and rook takes e7 with a winning position. Yeah, our pressure on the e file sometimes is decisive. So rook e2 from the opening was a very nice idea. Okay, and the other choice for black is playing c4, trying to blockade the position, but after bishop c2, yeah, we are with this very strong pawn, and we are preparing g4, g5, and the position is pretty difficult. And we have sometimes even the nasty bishop g5, as h takes simply opens the file, and this is pretty dangerous for the black king. Okay, all in all, bishop e3 was a very good move. I played d takes e5, rook takes e5, and my idea was to play c4. Yeah, now the bishop is destined to come to the long diagonal, put pressure on the king, bishop a7, and bishop c3. Yeah, improving the situation of the bishop. And the Stockfish played king g8. Yeah, now we have a very interesting position in which our worst piece is clearly the bishop on b3. So I understood that, but I didn't manage to get a way to improve it. Yeah, and now I played rook e5. Yeah, I wanted to put some pressure on a5, and I wanted to, to create threats against the black king. But the idea of trading one of those rooks wasn't as sweet, but I didn't find any other thing, so I had to play something. The best move. Yeah, the best move was a very mysterious one. Yeah, the key is to improve the bishop. The key move was rook c1. Yeah, in this way we're indirectly defending c4. In case the game continued with bishop b6, it's a normal move to defend the pawn. And remember that rook f5 is never possible because of queen takes f5, e takes f5, and we win a rook. So after rook c1, bishop b6, now the idea is to play bishop c2. Yeah, we're leaving this pawn hanging, but the idea is that rook takes c4 is answered by bishop takes f6 and bishop h7, and the rook is hanging. So queen takes f6, queen takes f6, g takes f6, and bishop h7, winning the game. Okay, so after bishop c2, rook c7, and bishop b1, followed by b3, and then I can double on the e file again, and my bishop would have improved, and perhaps on a later stage g4, g5 would come with a great effect. Okay, so instead of playing that, I played rook e5. The game continued with queen c7, and now I played rook takes c5. Yeah, it was better to defend the second rank, but I played rook takes c5, bishop takes c5, bishop e5. Still wasn't too late to play something like rook d1. Yeah, now it's tricky because this pawn is hanging, but if we take the pawn, bishop takes f6, g takes f6, queen takes f6, rook d2, and things aren't as simple now. Our king is becoming a little bit weak. Yeah, so I decided to play bishop e5, trying to force something like bishop d6 or queen e7, but queen b6, keeping the pressure and still giving white the possibility to destroy black's king. So as I couldn't find anything, I decided to take. Yeah, my problem was that rook e2 and bishop d4 was already very nice for black. Yeah, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, and I definitely would prefer to play with black, as this bishop is stronger than the bishop on b3. And in case of capturing the bishop, rook takes d4, and we have the tandem, queen and knight tandem, and they are going to get plenty of play in the dark squares. So I was sensing that at every moment white would be inferior, so I wanted to force equality, so I traded on f6, g takes f6, queen takes f6, rook d2, and things are becoming really nasty, but beforehand I saw that queen takes h6, rook takes f2, and king h3 wasn't such a bad idea, as black king is becoming really exposed. Yeah, the game continued with bishop e7. I played rook e4, and I was pretty happy until I realized that rook e4 wasn't a winning move, but it only led to draw after rook h2, king takes h2, queen f2, and king h3. Yeah, in case of king h1, queen f3, and the rook falls. King h3, queen f1, king h2. Of course, going to g4 is not an option as queen f5 is checkmate. So I went back to h2 and the draw was declared after queen f2, king h3, and so on and so forth. Perpetual check. Okay, it was a nice experience. Okay, so this is a method. Every time you get in your opening preparation a position that is slightly better and that from the source you're studying it, they tell you that this is a little bit better or it's a big advantage, it's worth having a try and play it against the sparring. And okay, the sparring I found was the Stockfish. Of course, it's a pretty strong sparring. You can go finding another level, perhaps Stockfish level 4 or level 5, in accordance to your level. But it's a pretty effective way to get to understand your positions better. I hope you find this method interesting and that you'll be able to practice it. And okay, see you next time. Goodbye.